All right, so let's start off. Can we have your name and in which years did you participate for MSU or SMS?
My name is Joe Igel, and I was never an SMS debater. I was an SMS grad assistant. I debated for Donald Stanton at Ohio State University in what would have been 69, 70, and 70, 71. And Don invited me after my debate experience to come down and be a teaching assistant, a grad assistant at Southwest Missouri State University. And I accepted at the end of my senior year, 1972-73, I was a grad assistant here working with the program.
And what was that experience like?
It was a lot of work,
You guys are so good.
but when you do a lot of work and it's gratifying, it's rewarding. It feels good. And it really changed my life.
Amazing. So what has happened since your experience with debate and all of that?
When I graduated, I started out as a teacher. I was a secondary teacher at a rather affluent school system in central Ohio. But after about 4 years, I received the opportunity to go to work for my family's business. We just celebrated our 100th year last year. It's a fourth generation construction company, 350 employees, does a lot of commercial work, and I've been vice president. I do risk management, all the regulatory issues, all the stuff that nobody else likes to do.
Okay. And who was your partner when you debated?
I didn't debate here. My debate
right.
partner at Ohio State was Bill Egbert, and was pretty much my debate partner through 2 years that I was at Ohio State. I started somewhere else my freshman year.
Right, and like with your experiences with your partners, what really sticks with you about the previous partners that you've actually had?
Well, probably with my partners, it was a work ethic. In terms of my coaching, it was probably a strong adherence to an ethical standard to make sure that I could live with the arguments that I presented, that I truly believed them.
Which topics did you debate while you were debating?
Probably the most meaningful, the most significant one that I remember debating on was wage and price controls.
And what made it so significant to you?
Well, it was a real issue. It was a real issue that there was a lot of misunderstanding about. And working with Don, we were able to develop a case that I felt was real, was logical, really dealt with the situation, and made a lot of sense. And for that reason, I thought it was pretty hard to beat.
So, of all the skills that you developed while you were debating, which do you feel were the most valuable? Was it the research ethic, the listening, the speaking, the critical thinking?
I would say probably the critical thinking was important, but you can't critically think without thinking, without listening. You have to sit there and be able to understand what your opponent is actually saying. And the ability to think on your feet, to be able to postulate, to be able to arrive at a conclusion, to make judgments on the spur of the moment was critical. And it was something that, if anything else, it was consistent. I think when we see today's politics, when we see today's speakers, we see people that will argue one point on one hand and one point on another hand. And I think, if anything, debate when I was participating and debate when I was coaching allowed me to understand where I was coming from and to be consistent ethically, morally, in terms of my own values, what I spoke to my other.
And how has the skills that you used while you were debating, how have they served you since you stopped competing?
I serve as our risk and loss and safety professional and do all our regulatory issues. So obviously, where we stand as a company is critical. I serve on numerous boards, and where I serve on a board where I speak from an ethical viewpoint, instead of representing my own individual perspective, but where I represent our industry's perspective and what's good for the center, the board, the corporation that I represent. That's what I can do now that I don't really believe without this training I could have done.
Okay. So, what would you say about debate to an administrator?
Take as much of it as you can. as much as I enjoyed Don in the Ohio State program, I would have loved to have been here during the heyday. Would I have been the varsity debater that went to third in the nation as a team? No, probably not. But I think I would have had even more of a chance to be inundated in what I think was one of the best experiences in my life.
What would you tell incoming freshmen if
Remain open, remain receptive, and I would say probably work hard and understand the applicability of this. You know, we have so many closed-minded people in today's world. We have so many people that can only see things from their own perspective. And if anything I learned, it was the ability to see beyond that.
if there was one piece of advice that you were to give a current debater here, what would that advice be?
Do it for all 4 years. Enjoy yourself. Work hard. Listen. Research. And listen to the coaching. It's really for your betterment. It's not because they're trying to make you like somebody else other than yourself, but it's because of years of experience that have been not only learned by them, but imparted to them by others who have learned through the process.
Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Not really.
Well, thank you so much.
I hope that's